Hey guys, MeLikeBigBoom here, and today is the day. We have Nelson here, the creator of Unturned, the one and only.
Hey everybody.
So, if you guys have missed my little suggestion thing, the video that I put out for you guys to suggest your things, basically I'm going to divide this into like three different sections. This is the first section, so if you're looking for a place to start, this is where you need to be. In this one, it's going to be pretty much the major section where we're talking about Unturned. And then down, we'll move on to suggestions for Unturned and then some like side questions, some miscellaneous stuff. But I basically put this list together like 30 minutes ago, so it's not very well organized. I'm sorry, but I guess we'll just start with the first question. Are you ready, Nelson?
I'm good to go.
Well, so I guess we'll start with, it's kind of a broad question, but most people have inspirations. So was there anyone that inspired you to kind of sit down and learn game development as like by yourself?
Well, I suppose it's kind of whoever was developing the game I was playing at the time.
Oh, okay. So what kind of games were you playing at the time of Unturned development?
Oh wow. I guess like uh, Rocket behind Daisy, people like that.
Yeah. So Unturned is coming along pretty nicely. I mean, Unturned 3.0 is practically almost finished. I mean, it's playable state. So, do you plan on having like a release date? Like, here's the day that Unturned 3.0 moves to main branch, or will you just be like, oh, here's 3.0 moving to main branch?
But there will be like for certain it's going to be before July. I don't want to be in early access for more than a year.
Yeah.
As for the specific release, it's probably going to be sometime April or after April.
So would that essentially be like, here's 3.8, and yeah, it's moving to main branch, or is it like, I plan on finishing out on this day, and then that's when that update comes out, kind of like a major update or something?
So it'll probably be a week or so with no patches, just small tweaks and fixes going into it to make sure it's as good as possible for the main branch.
All right. And so when that comes along, what do you have plans like beyond that?
Probably more content, more features, just trying to expand on the game, make it better.
So right now we're on 3.0, and before that was 2.0. When you started with Unturned 1, like let's say even like in the Roblox stage or something like that, did how long did that take like for you to like, I want to make a survival game, to like when you basically released it for the first one?
The development time has definitely gone up for each cycle. Unturned 1 was probably more like 4 months, 2.0 was 6 or 7 months, and then 3.0, of course, has been bordering 8 months
Yeah.
now.
So is that just for more stuff, or is it something
Well,
else?
I've been trying to improve on my code, make it cleaner, been trying to improve graphics, things like that.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess we've already kind of, I put this question in here before we even kind of discussed workshop, but so mod support and implementation is pretty much workshop. Are there any limitations to workshop in terms of mods, or is there really kind of anything that can be made with workshop?
Well, you'll have to have the thing supported by Workshop before you can add it in. As for scripting and things like that, those won't be on Workshop. Um,
So there won't be like fancy like lighting mods and texture, well maybe textures, but I don't know, but like um fancy new whole features and stuff that can't be added like through workshop with just a click of the subscribe button, right?
Features, no, but as far as textures and lighting goes, those would just be replacing existing content.
Yeah.
And so, assuming that the type of content is supported on Workshop, that would be possible.
Okay. And obviously the workshop's planning on being a pretty major aspect of Unturned. So especially with the custom maps and stuff, do you plan on having it to where when somebody tries to join a server, it'll automatically download the map that they're playing on, or do you plan on keeping it like how they have to download the map and then search for it, like through a filter that way?
We'll see how it goes. Right now, I think the first hurdle will be getting Workshop to actually support maps. Then after that, it'll be supporting custom content on maps, like the custom models, things like that.
Yeah.
And from there, we'll see about being able to download the map when you join servers.
All right. And so there are a lot of community suggestions all over the frickin' place. And so where is like the best place for someone to offer their suggestions?
Probably any of the community sites is pretty good. I read the forums a lot, mainly the general discussions actually, as well as I check Reddit frequently. If you suggested something, the chances are I might have seen it.
Okay. Well, where did the idea from Unturned come about? Was that just from like you playing Daisy, you wanted to follow in those footsteps, stuff like that?
Well, I remember I saw a video on YouTube about Daisy, and I thought it looked pretty neat. And then when all those sort of games were coming out in quick succession, I was playing them quite a bit, and I thought it would be neat to make my own, trying to get some of my own content in, and so it just kind of came from there.
And so most of your stuff is on the Trello and stuff. So, but are there any things like major features that you've thought about or considered adding, but like it didn't quite make the Trello list, or you just haven't discussed them yet?
Well, if people want big features, it might get added. As for now, what is on the Trello is what's going to get added.
Okay.
The next huge thing is probably going to be the revised Canada map.
Oh, so is that like a like completely new thing, or is it just kind of like it's same layout, just more stuff in there?
I think I'm going to copy over some of the stuff from the current one. I'm probably going to redesign it to some extent on the stream with people so that we can kind of get an idea of where people think things would fit well. Because that way, Canada map was just designed just from what I thought was a good idea. I think the layout flaws with it are probably because there wasn't enough community feedback in the development of it. So
Yeah. So, I guess we'll get into that stream stuff later, but well, actually, in terms of suggestions, there's so many people that are suggesting guns. Are those like high up there on the difficulty scale to create compared to other items? Or are there other things that are just like nightmares to create? Because I feel like animating those things would be pretty difficult. Like actually creating the model probably wouldn't be terribly difficult, but
depends how much stuff is already there. As far as adding a similar weapon goes, it's really, really quick. For example, adding a new assault rifle would probably take an hour or so.
uh-huh.
Because you can reuse kind of like the general shape of it as well
And the
as
animations would probably line up pretty good.
yeah, a few of the animations. There does, of course, have to be some tweaking for things like the sprinting or aiming down sights, but for the most part, you can reuse a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Like I feel like that the butterfly knife, like animating that, oh dear.
A lot of people are asking for it to have like fancy trick animations, but the problem is the characters don't have fingers, so it's kind of hard to convey those
Yeah.
those more detailed animations.
Actually, quite a few people have been discussing that. Do you plan on like detailing the models, or I feel like that's kind of the signature Unturned thing, but do you plan on like adding fingers or something, or making differently sized characters that you can choose from and stuff like that as character models?
Nah, it's gonna stay how it is for now.
Yeah. Unturned is made in Unity, right? Everything all.
Yep.
And so is Unity like for the win, or is there anything else that you're kind of eyeing a bit or want to try out?
I like how logical Unity is, as well as how easy it is to just create something blank. I have been kind of trying out Unreal Engine a bit over the holidays. I liked some of their features, specifically the shader editor.
Yeah.
And also with Valve's recent talks about Source 2, I think I'll definitely be looking into that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So are there any like features that you wish you could do, but just like Unity doesn't, makes it difficult to do that, or just not even possible to do that?
Sort of like I was saying a second ago, the Unreal Engine has those nice shader features where you can really easily just, as long as you sort of understand some of the math behind it, you can put something together. Whereas Unity, you have to figure out their whole separate shader language system.
Yeah. So like one of the major things of Unity is the asset store. So have you bought anything from the asset store for Unturned?
Actually, just before it went on Steam, I bought a Steamworks wrapper so that it could use things like achievements, but that did not work very well at all, and that was the reason that Mac took so long to add. Otherwise, Mac would have been really quick.
Oh,
And so, about a month into Steam, I saw this awesome thing, Steamworks.net, by Riley. It's amazing, and after swapping over to it, I haven't looked back at all.
pretty cool. So the Unturned theme song that we've all had stuck in our heads, what did that originate from? Did you make that, or was that like a royalty-free kind of thing, or?
I heard it. I don't actually remember where I heard it now. It was a few years ago. When I was making the trailer for Greenlight, I thought it would be a nice song to buy, so I got the rights for it and put it in.
Cool. So moving on to the streaming stuff, how often do you stream? I haven't actually been able to watch a stream. They're usually pretty early, so I haven't really been able to follow along to them. But how often do you stream?
Not that frequently recently, but as far as working on the revised Canada map goes, sort of like we were talking about earlier, I'll try my best to stream more of that.
All right. And so, if someone wanted to know when you were to do like if you were to release a streaming date, how would people be able to figure that out? Would you put it out on Twitter or on the Trello or something?
For the most part, I don't announce it. I think you can follow people on Twitch, which tells you.
Yeah, but their follow system is really screwed up. Yeah, it doesn't really do a good job of telling you when people are streaming. I think it's only when you're actually in the website it'll pop a little notification on the left.
For the most part, if I was going to do anything important on the stream, I would announce it. But if it's just some small boring thing, I won't.
So this has been asked like so many times in my little suggestion thing for this interview. What are your opinions on like projectile explosives like grenade launchers and RPGs and stuff like that?
It's most likely not going to be in 3.0.
Yeah. Is it just because like you don't want people like destroying bases from really far away and stuff like that?
For the most part, they're cheap, and I don't think they really serve much of a purpose.
Yeah. And then a while back, like I don't even know where it originated, but you somewhere said that you planned on having like building off of vehicles and stuff like that. Is that still something that you want to do?
At one point, I mentioned something about being able to build vehicles from scratch, and that definitely won't happen. That was more of just an idea.
Yeah.
As far as enhancing your vehicles go, I do still want to do that. That's going to be something that comes out in the next few months. It'll probably either be putting literally the barricades onto your vehicles, or a special type of item that can be snapped into positions on various vehicles.
Uh, so like you could put like a farm in the back of a truck or something.
If it went with the barricade system, yes. But if it went with a custom item, it would be a perhaps lights on the top or some special bags to put on the side.
Cool. So what was the biggest like pain to add or fix into 3.0? It sounds like the crate thing was kind of hard, but are there other things that kind of top that?
The crates were normal difficulty. I didn't think they were that difficult. The biggest thing is probably the networking, in that
Oh yeah.
I have to learn a lot about all these different things to try and get it to work. 2.0 was way simpler to implement in that there was already a nice networking system in place, and it was not authoritative at all. Whereas 3.0, doing so much more stuff on the server, so much more data, it's ridiculous. I think in April sometime, that's going to be a month for optimizing, refining, improving various things. I do want to go back and just disable everything in the multiplayer and optimize all the packets, make it as fast as possible. Really smooth is what I'm aiming for.
Oh, well, that'd be pretty cool. In addition to your little like revised Canada thing, do you have plans for any other like major maps in addition to Canada? Not like an arena map, but like a full on like another civilized place or whatever map.
I think now that there's the Lowlander, it's unlikely that there'll be a second map.
Yeah, leave it to the community and stuff. So weather, is that possible? And do you have plans for adding different kinds of weather like storms and well, I guess you have snow now, but rain, stuff like that?
It is possible, but I think for the meantime it's not planned.
Okay. When 3.0 moves to main branch, will 2.0 still be available to play and will our stuff still be there?
It will still be available. It'll be on a separate branch similar to how you go to preview right now. There'll be a classic branch or something like that. You won't need a password. And assuming that you haven't deleted it, your save data will still be functional over there.
All right. Will Unturned 1 ever be available? Like I heard it was like a web-based kind of thing. Will you ever just have that on like your Smartly Dressed Games website or anything?
No.
That's long gone off your computer.
Yeah, long gone.
What about controller support for Unturned? Seems like, I mean, a lot of people suggest it, but it seems like there's a lot of buttons and stuff that I don't think a controller could really offer. But
the game wasn't really designed for it, but apparently with Valve's new controllers, they're designing it with non-controller design games in mind, so I guess we'll see.
All right. What about Oculus Rift?
Actually, again, I guess it kind of depends what's out there. Like Valve's just announced their equivalent of virtual reality. We'll see how that turns out, and if people want it, I'll put it in.
All right. And so major thing about Unturned is that it's free to play. Do you plan on keeping it free forever and ever and ever?
The current version of the game, yeah, it'll be free forever.
All right.
I can't speak for whatever might happen with Unturned in the future. Like, if there was an Unturned 2, I don't know if that would be free to play, but I expect it would.
All right. Cool. So was there like any sort of like significant day where you just woke up and your game was just like being played a bunch, or was it kind of a gradual success over 2014?
I think it was gradual. I mean, it got through green light, not super noticed. Like, nobody even made videos about it or anything, but definitely the community voted for it.
Yeah.
And then once it was on Steam, it seemed like it went up by a decent number of players a day. And at one point, it just reached a point where the number of players coming in was constant.
Yeah, I remember seeing like a graph when it first came out, like back in July or whatever. Like you could see a consistent wavelength from when it was like throughout the hours of the day. It was consistently going up and up every day. I thought that was pretty cool. It was like the most perfect graph I've ever seen in my life. Um, so do you feel more entitled to work on Unturned than you did before it kind of like got this successful? Or have you always kind of worked on it for like hours on end?
What do you mean?
Well, like it seems like you're kind of going home and then you're like working on an update for that day. Like it's kind of crazy how you're adding so much. Have you always kind of worked like that hard on Unturned?
Yeah, actually, the amount of stuff has probably decreased over time.
Wow.
Um, considering the older versions, since there was so much less work put into a lot of things, it was a lot easier to get more out. Whereas now that the quality standard is higher, trying to make the code better and better, it takes longer to put stuff out.
Yeah. So, was Unturned 3.0 like started from scratch, just like a file new, or was there just like brought it over and really like pretty much completely redid 2.0 or what?
Yeah, 3.0 is pretty much scratch.
Wow. So, what motivated you to start pretty much completely from scratch?
Well, originally it was just taking the networking and rewriting some of the network code, and then I was going to bring 2.0 into it. And then it turned into this whole thing with the level editor and workshop and all these crazy features. And people wanted more and more gameplay things. They wanted better graphics. And so 3.0 would have been done ages ago, but now it's ended up turning into this huge, like, many month-long project. So
Yeah. So, from my understanding, you're like the only guy. Well, actually, you're the only guy working on Unturned, right?
yeah.
Will it stay that way, or will you add some little minions to your crew?
As far as developing the core game goes, yeah, it's going to stay me. But there are some people working on other things. Like, obviously, there's, like we were talking about Riley earlier, he's working on the Steamworks.net stuff. There's a bunch of people doing moderation on the forums, as well as there's this guy Sven right now. He's working on a modding API for the game.
How much time daily do you spend like working on Unturned, like when you get home from school and stuff?
Probably hard to tell. I mean, I do have the game open and I go back and forth working on stuff, but to some extent also easy to get distracted. So
Yeah. How long have you been like developing games just in general, not just Unturned, but just like developing stuff?
well, it depends on which quality threshold you're using. In
Like
that,
the first line of code.
well, again, there's like quality. I made some games with systems where you didn't need to use any code. So
Oh, okay.
I think if I go by my current quality standards, I'd say I've only been making games for like a month.
Oh,
It's like every month it seems like any code I wrote more than a month ago is awful, and it's been like that for a while. You're always getting better, you know. So
yeah. So if you were to develop another game, like I don't know, like way a long time ago, just kind of a theoretical scenario, what genre would it be other than survival?
it's hard to say. I do have a list of some game ideas though.
Ah. Way back in the corner of your little Trello list, you said that specialties were confusing. How do you plan on fixing that or addressing that?
I think what that was pointing out on the Trello was just that people were confused as to why they had different skills than their friends. As far as specialty goes, I'll probably either improve the interface and kind of balance out the specialties so each one can do more things, more general things as well, or I might just make three skill trees like offensive, defensive, and support.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't tried it in so long, but I'm pretty sure I remember like if you throw a grenade at a car, it goes through it. And like if you try and stand on top of a car and they drive away, like you stay in the same spot. Is it possible to make it to where You can like toss a grenade in a car, or you can ride them for a bit and stuff like that.
It's possible, but it would require a lot of work.
Yeah. So now in 3.0 we have that whole like organizing the slots in inventory kind of thing rather than a single slot for each item, which got rid of the weight system. Is that long gone, or do you plan on adding in weight, or is there no more weight system?
There's going to be no more weight.
All right. So last question for this section. One person commented this. I don't know. I haven't watched the stream before, but they said that they remember you mentioning in a stream that you were going to make power plants, and like if they fueled them, that you could power a city. Are you still planning on doing that?
I do still think that would be pretty awesome. It depends on the level of detail in the buildings. It's actually lower than I was originally imagining for 3.0. But the first step towards that will be making the buildable electricity system, so generators and lights. And we'll see where we go after that.
All right. Well, those are all the questions for the Unturned section. If you guys would like to move on to the second one, if it's uploaded, I'll put the annotation on the screen right now. But I don't know how I'm gonna like figure this out. Like I might do all of them throughout today or something. But anyway, so that was the Unturned section. Now we're gonna move on to the suggestions section.